The city bustled with the usual morning chaos, cars honking, people rushing, and the sun barely peeking through the buildings. But amidst the sea of movement, a lone, frail dog darted into the heavy traffic, causing cars to screech to a halt. Gasps erupted from bystanders as the small, mud-covered figure froze in fear, its thin legs trembling on the hot asphalt. No one knew where the dog had come from, but fate had placed him right in the middle of a heart-stopping moment, one that would change his life forever. Chapter 1. A Leap of Desperation. It had been weeks, maybe months, since the little stray had felt the warmth of a kind touch or the comfort of a full belly. The scars along his ribs and the patchy fur on his back told the story of hardship. He had survived by scavenging scraps behind restaurants and dodging the occasional kick from an unkind passerby. But hunger gnawed at him today worse than ever before. The scent of food had lured him closer to the road. The overwhelming smells of grilled meat and fried food from the street vendors filled his nose, making his empty stomach twist painfully. He had no choice but to venture closer. As he stepped onto the road, the roar of an approaching truck made his ears perk up. A second too late he realized his mistake. The driver blared the horn and in an instant the dog was paralyzed with fear. The massive vehicle was bearing down on him, the sound deafening. He squeezed his eyes shut, bracing for impact. Chapter 2. A hero steps in. Just as the dog stood frozen, a figure lunged forward, a woman in a blue veterinary uniform. Mia had been waiting for the pedestrian light to change when she spotted the dog. Her heart pounded in her chest as she sprinted forward, ignoring the shouts around her. In a split second she reached out, scooped up the trembling dog and rolled onto the sidewalk just as the truck thundered past. The rush of wind and the force of the moment left her breathless. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the crowd erupted in applause. Someone cheered, a few clapped, and several others recorded the moment on their phones. But Mia wasn't focused on them, she was looking down at the shaking, pitiful creature in her arms. He was light, too light, and his eyes, though filled with fear, held a spark of something else, hope. Chapter 3. The First Steps to Healing. Mia cradled the stray gently, feeling his ribs through his thin coat. He barely had the strength to lift his head. Without a second thought, she wrapped her sweater around him and walked briskly to her car. She worked at a nearby animal clinic, and this dog had just become her newest patient. At the clinic, she set him down on an examination table. The dog whimpered, but Mia whispered soothing words, stroking his ears. As she examined him, she noted the old scars, the malnutrition, and the clear signs of neglect. Yet, despite it all, he looked up at her with tired but trusting eyes. "You're going to be okay," she promised. Chapter 4. A Long Road to Recovery. Mia named him Lucky. Over the next few days, Lucky was treated for infections, given proper nutrition, and showered with kindness he had never known. The first time he ate from a real bowl, his tail wagged weakly. The first time he slept on a soft bed, he curled into it as though afraid it might disappear. His transformation wasn't instant. He flinched at sudden movements, cowered when someone raised their hand too fast, and struggled with the fear that food might not always be available. But Mia was patient. She sat beside him during meals, reassured him with gentle touches, and introduced him to other dogs who had also been rescued. One night, Mia found him curled up on his bed, his big brown eyes watching her with something she hadn't seen before, trust. Chapter 5. A New Beginning. Weeks turned into months and Lucky grew stronger. His coat became glossy, his scars faded, and his tail wagged more freely. He learned how to play, how to chase after balls, and how to bark with excitement when Mia came home. But the biggest test was yet to come. One day Mia took Lucky to the park. The same city streets that once terrified him now felt different. The honking cars, the busy sidewalks, and the noise of everyday life no longer paralyzed him with fear. Instead, he walked beside Mia with confidence. A family was at the park that day, a young boy tugging at his mother's sleeve. "Mom, look at that dog." The boy knelt, holding out a treat. Lucky hesitated for a moment, then, slowly, he took it from the boy's hand. The child giggled, and for the first time, Lucky wagged his tail at a stranger. It was a moment of pure healing. Chapter 6. A Forever Home. Mia knew from the start that she wouldn't be able to keep Lucky forever. As much as she loved him, her home was always temporary, just a stop on the way to something better for these animals. Then one day the perfect family walked through the doors of the clinic. A retired couple, the Millers, had recently lost their beloved senior dog. They had seen Lucky's story online and felt an instant connection. When they met him, it was as if he had been waiting for them all along. Lucky approached them, sniffed their hands, and after a few moments he leaned against their legs. It was decided. Lucky had found his forever home. As they left, Lucky turned back to Mia one last time. She knelt, ruffling his fur. "Be a good boy, okay?" He licked her face in response. Moral of the story. Compassion can change a life. A simple act of kindness can be the turning point for someone in need. Never underestimate a second chance. Everyone deserves another shot at happiness, no matter their past. Patience and love heal all wounds. Emotional and physical scars take time to heal, but with care, transformation is possible. Sometimes, the most broken souls shine the brightest. Lucky had been abandoned, but he still had love to give. Heroes are everywhere. Mia wasn't a superhero, she was an ordinary person who chose to act when others wouldn't. Lucky's journey wasn't just about survival, it was about rediscovering the beauty of trust, love, and family. And in the end, he didn't just find a home. He found a heart that would never abandon him again. Red Heart.